this one, for anybody at home, if you've seen these movies before, I mean, we're going to do our usual spoiler-free section, but if you've seen these movies before, you know it's a big event at the start. We see a big action set piece, and someone that it's a premonition goes fucking. So then they're trying to cheat their way out of it as they get picked off one by one by death because they escaped death's plan. Because death is just essentially an extra character in these movies. So we are doing the spoiler-free section, but if you've seen these movies, it's just there's
lots of people die.
Yeah, it's not really. But yeah, just look, I'll give you the quick synopsis anyway. Plagued by a recurring violent nightmare, a college student returns home to find the one person who can break the cycle and save her family from the horrific fate that inevitably awaits them. So yeah, this one starring Caitlin Santajuana, Tio Briones, Richard Harmon, Owen Patrick Joyner, Greg Bassinger, and of course the wonderful Tony Todd in one of his last movies, which he really did apparently suffered trying to get this done. Like he suffered through the making of the movie because he was a very sick man towards the end. God rest him. Fucking love that guy.
It was an amazing scene.
It's cool. Yeah. And it's actually quite a lovely scene because he's so
very poignant.
He has such a lovely
caught up in it.
And in the movies, that character Bloodward has a real respect for death and respect for life. But there's just his kind of, there is a lovely line about enjoying every day. Every second is a gift and stuff. I was like, fucking hell, you're right. I'm getting a brownie on the way home.
Guaranteed he wrote that.
So this is directed by Zach Levitsky and Adam B. Stein, written by Guy Busick and some others. And the reason I knew that I thought I'd probably enjoy this one is that he has done some other stuff recently that I enjoyed. Like that Abigail movie that I was harping on about last year, with the little vampire kid and all the rest of it. Like I loved that. And he also did Ready or Not, I love that as well. 2 great horrors. And so I kind of had an idea that this would be decent enough. So like I said, 6-1 in the series, and this one I'm not sure where it comes in budget wise with the others, but this was 23 million. But it hasn't actually come out yet. Like it's only in yesterday. They did a weird thing where they released a double feature, but the movie isn't actually out until next week. So I'm not sure how it's going to do in the box office. So this week we can't comment on that. But 23 million, I think it'll easily make its money back, and I think it looks worth the 23 million as well.
Absolutely.
Well, before we get into what we thought of performances and blah blah blah, what was your overall feeling on this one?
I loved this movie. I liked it so much more than I thought it was, or that I thought I would. I just laughed my ass off for lots of it. It's like it's not a great movie in the great scheme of things, but for what it's trying to do, it was incredibly successful. It's fun, it's silly, and it's all about just getting to the next death scene. And they were fucking brilliant. Like
they were really good.
They're like so good. They're like, we'll get into it, but we have reached a kind of a time in visual effects where when you think the camera would cut away, when somebody's almost about crushed, and you always kind of cut away, and you think like, oh, they just don't. You just see everything, and it's fucking beautiful to watch. It's horrible, whatever, but it's such a silly in a silly way. It's not body horror, gross. It's so ridiculous, but I fucking loved it. Like the caster, fucking grand and all that, but and it's nice that there's kind of a couple of red herrings thrown in there. Like the thing they do with the sound design and stuff is great. Like there's that you'd seen in the trailer that I thought was a big giveaway in the tattoo thing. It's just like, oh, is that the way he dies? Oh, maybe not. And that was brilliant. But like that sound design thing where they show it crazy, just people talking, then somebody turns off a lawnmower and you get a close up of the button. You're like, oh. Like, oh,
is that going to be
it? Is that how he dies? Or are we, when you go from them trying to tell a story and then when it kind of shifts into, it's almost like fucking heightened sense of like, oh, something's going to happen here. And you're just buzzed waiting for how they're going to fucking off the next person. It's just fucking brilliant. And
I think they've really kind of I know it's the same story, the same kind of beats that they're hitting like the other movies, but I'm not sure if you've watched all of the Final Destination movies, but particularly the 4th and 5th were appalling, like absolutely appalling, and the effects were terrible as well. They were about one thing. The 4th one, I think, was the racetrack one, and then I think the fifth one was the bridge, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And the effects were awful, and they're really trying to go heavy with the 3D. You know, shit happened flying towards the screen, and it was, but it they didn't spend the budget on it. Like, it looked shocking. Whereas, you know, the second one with that great scene with the truck, with the stuff falling off the truck, and so that highway scene, really good. Even the third one, I mean, they're not great movies, but the third one has the roller coaster, you know, and so the way they die then throughout the movies, they got fucking shit as the movies went on.
Yeah.
You know, but this, they were, like you said, they're fucking, like, laugh out loud. I was
so good.
Pissing myself. I must look like a psychopath at cinema, like, just because they were so shockingly, you know, bam in your face. And it wasn't just torture porn kind of stuff. They really went out of their way to have absolutely ridiculous stuff happen to them.
And that it's
bam,
funny,
you know, like
watching people die and getting squashed and sliced and diced or whatever. It's just like, it's an audible, like, ha ha ha, and other people in the row just like laughing out loud, just like, this is brilliant. It's the best comedy I've watched in years.
Yeah, and not just that, like, a lot of times with movies like this, you kind of, you can tell when someone's going to get killed. You see the camera view changes. You know, someone's having the conversation, and then all of a sudden we've got a widescreen view of just them. You're like, okay, that person's about to get hit by a bus, or that person's about to whatever.
Yeah.
But in this, you know, there was a lot of them kind of going, oh, actually, no, I think they're going to get out of that. Or is that going to be like you didn't get that fear, and then all of a sudden, a certain person ends up getting killed. But it was just, man, I had fun with it. I'm very happy with how this was, because I, like you, was like, we were just kind of going and seeing it because we had the opportunity to see it early. But I wasn't really expecting a lot after, you know, the last few movies.
No,
I think really the first one was the only good one, I think.
Yeah, I think I remember when you're talking about roller coaster and thing. I thought they were all in the first movie. They always blend. I've obviously never seen the fourth and fifth, but that's how memorable those movies were. When you're just kind of going, oh, right, so you're waiting for it, and it's maybe one or two scenes that are good. Where this has several good scenes, but the setup and the way they do it is markedly different. You know what I mean? It's as you're saying, there's a bit less of a telegraph of people dying, but it's just those little close-ups of different things, and it's like, oh, and it just shifts, and it's almost like they know, like, here we go, we're going into the scene now. Can you guess what's going to fucking happen here? Here's a shard of glass or whatever. Like, the barbecue scene is fucking great, but there's there's a death with like an MRI machine that is one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
Outrageous. It
was just like, I'm going to watch this 100 times, like, this scene. It's brilliant. But the opening scene, I thought, was fantastic. Like, in terms of, like,
well, that's maybe we'll start there. We'll start there and just say about, like, we'll go on effects wise, because as I said at the start, seeing these movies, there's a big fucking something scene at the start, a big disaster scene that someone has a premonition of, and it gets brought back. But this one, I thought it was great. It's set, because it's called Bloodlines. It's set, you know, they're kind of changing the rules a little bit, and they're bringing it back to this night in the 60s. But that whole set piece at the start in this revolving restaurant, I thought that was great. Like, it was like the vibe to it. I like everything around it when they're looking down outside it. That didn't look great, I didn't think, to me. You know, the fact that they're trying to, the town below and whatever else didn't have that same kind of vibe as what they were trying to keep in the tower restaurant thing. But I thought that the effects in there were great. Like, the accident and how it unfolded. The one who plays the character Iris, she's got something Beck Basinger. She had her own DC show, Stargirl or something, or Stargirl. But I thought she was great, and I thought that the two of them were very believable as a couple at the start. And that's one of my favorite ones, I think, since the first one. That's probably my favorite fucking big action set piece. Yeah,
it's just got this wonderful sense of impending doom, you know. And it's just, I didn't remember any of the other movies, so I was surprised how long it went on. I was like, oh my god, this is really fucking good. I thought it was just gonna be a 5-minute setup or something, but the sound design in it and the creaking and the fucking, there's nothing like people dancing away on a see-through glass floor that's cracking that makes you just fucking kind of go, oh, that's a bit fucking, would anyone look down? But it's just the mechanics of what's happening and how things are happening. It's just really well thought out, really well executed. And it's just got it's got a great, as you say, vibe to it, look. It's polished. Yeah, but sound design especially. And when it goes a bit fucking mad, that scene towards the end, it still looks great. Like, I imagine a lot of their budget went on that. But it's got a little shithead kid as well, who you're just hoping will fucking die. And no spoilers there, but maybe. That was like biggest cheer of the fucking whole movie. Just like, yeah, little shit.
And I think the pressure is on them to make that scene. Like when you see the first one, yeah, they all managed to get off a plane that explodes. But yeah, we only spent that of the actual accident happening only goes on for about a minute. You know, we see the fire starts, someone masks him down, people get pulled out, and then all of a sudden he's back in his desk, back in his seat and his tray table and stuff, and he freaks out and gets everybody off. But of course, then they have to up the ante for each one. That's why the second one, the fucking big highway scene, and it's awesome. And each movie they're trying to make it as fucking huge as possible. And so, you know, it's kind of, I suppose the pressure was on this one to try and make it good, but make it believable to set up the rest of the movie as well, because we're not going from this straight into the survivors from this trying to cheat death. We're jumping from the 60s right into present day.
Quite a shift.
And so, yeah, so they kind of have to show what, you know, they kind of have to explain that this has to be something big at the start enough and believable enough to set up the rest of the movie, which I think it did. I think you know, a lot of stuff gets just explained away, but I was on board for it as well. I was on board for the nonsense.
Absolutely. And I think like in all movies like this, where you start with your big kind of set piece, you know, not equating this to James Bond or something, but you're kind of like, oh, your big fucking set piece. And then it's all about, can you match that level? And these movies, from what you've said and from what I kind of remember, like this, they're either really good opening sequences, and then they never really hit those heights again. And quite a lot of them just fall off like ridiculously in terms of quality after that opening scene. And this one kind of rides on the coattails of that opening scene as well, and it never hits those heights. But it's not that much of a fall off, because it's like that opening scene's fantastic. Then you get into the kind of story stuff, and you're like, okay, this is. So, yeah, they're doing something. They're trying to do something, trying to tell a story, but it's a bit like, this is kind of nonsense. But then very quickly, you get into another death scene. It's like, oh, here we go. And it's just, it just brings you back up just enough that you can ride out the rest of the movie with a deliciously eerie grin on your fucking face, you know?
Yeah, and I think they did. They went, obviously there's CG, a good bit of CG, but they went, there's a good bit of practical effects in it as well, which is great, because I think that's one of the downfalls of the later two, that, you know, the blood looks like something out of fucking Mortal Kombat. You know, it's shocking looking. But I thought, like, the CG department and the effects department did a great job, I think, on this. It was, like you said, some of the deaths, man, I was fucking really laugh out loud. You know, it's just, hats off to them. That MRI scene is probably a personal favorite.
It's just wonderful and horrible and hilarious.
But just I suppose maybe we just, when you said hilarious, not just the deaths that are funny. I found this to be quite a humorous movie. You know, a lot of it comes from the guy from the trailer, the guy with the piercings and stuff. I can't remember.
He has a couple of great lines, like.
But he's got some. Yeah, he has some great lines, and he's a dickhead, and you know, he's got a lot of funny lines in it. But I don't think there was anybody really who stood out when you're going to go, okay, they really added to the movie. I think the guy, like I said, the guy with the piercings from the trailer, it had the most humor. His vibe with his brother was quite good. Yeah. And his vibe with his brother were quite funny. Like the guy who's allergic to peanut butter, you know, those two, they had a good vibe together. But like, apart from that, no one really stood out as kind of, there's a scene stealer, or
it's kind of they're just serviceable. And like, and just the father was the only one that, like, it is that scene when she arrives and you're just kind of going, oh, this is really bad. Like, don't expect me to give a shit about anything here. Because he was awful. But like, they're going from point A to point B, and eventually you're going to get everyone in a room, and she's going to try and tell them about that death is after us, and they're going to say, "No, you're crazy," and then someone's going to die within 2 minutes, and then they'll all go, "Oh no, you're right."
Yeah, same formula for every movie. Yeah,
but why wasn't because I caught the last 30 minutes of that double bill of the first movie, and the whole thing about if somebody intervenes, it skips that person. I always thought, oh, that was an interesting thing in the first. That's not entertained here at all. They just go a different
change
route.
It. Yeah, because the first one it was real. Okay, you changed the order because he saved Claire. He's like, okay, well if I saved you, then it skips me and it goes. But eventually, it's gonna come. It's always gonna come back.
Okay.
But I think the whole idea of this bloodlines thing is that it happens in order. So as long as let's say if it's my family, as long as my elder who was supposed to die shouldn't have given birth to me, as long as she stays alive, we're all safe as houses. So they've changed the rules a little bit than what they were in the previous ones, because in the second one there was something about getting a kid
on
born.
On that note then, so it's this lady's grandmother is the key to it, and like she's hold herself up nice and safe and whatever. Is it then this main chick, it's her fault that everyone's dead? Like if she just stayed away from her grandmother, wouldn't everything just be grand? Like she's just having a bad dream. Like she's just having a bad dream and she's really annoyed and then everyone dies.
Yeah. Imagine that, the amount of people that died just because you wanted to get a good night's sleep. Like, that's
yeah, I'm having this really weird dream about this thing. Just like, who gives a shit? Fuck off. Yeah, just.
But funny. It's kind of like it's a lot of times these movies you're not going. The ridiculousness is just it's too much. But in this, you're just because it's we're just waiting to go on to the next death scene. I couldn't give a shit. It's just like okay, I'll buy into it. Fine. At one point I think I tuned out when they were explaining the whole thing. Like at least in the first one we knew. Okay, there was a plan. He mapped out the seats on the plane, and he said, "Look, they're after dying in the order from where they would have died on the plane." And then we can skip it. It's so basic, easy to follow, grand. But then they just start to make it more complicated. Okay, if a new life is brought in, well then that counts. Or if you kill somebody, that's debts. Debt. EBT paid.
That was cool in this, and it's kind of it's only in a part of a scene for about fucking 10 seconds where she maps something out on a wall, and she's like, "It's not just seats on a plane here. It's just like everyone that was in that fucking Sky restaurant." Revolving restaurant that didn't die, they all had families and all this stuff, and she had this whole fucking chart where it's just like she's charted everyone and they've all died, and all these people, like fucking 50, 60, 70 people. I was just like, I'd love a bit more of that. Like that's cool. Just that the timeline
because like I think I worry we're version into spoiler territory here, but if you were to look at that, all the people that from the original one and their family, i.e. the bloodlines, what would have been cool and an opportunity to give us is them to start share a second look and give us some examples and go, look, blah blah blah, he was the guy that was in the band, he had a son. His son died when a fucking airplane came through the window of his house and chopped his head off. And then you get to see some of these flashbacks, and they're showing articles of these weird, articles of all these weird ways people have died. It's a way of squeezing in a ridiculous death scene without having to actually pay a character. Yeah, a montage of ridiculous deaths.
Cost an extra $5 million, but like, come on.
That's what we're here for.
Exactly.
But I think there's no one else apart from the dad that I was like, oh Jesus Christ. Oh, and I think and the mom of the two brothers as well, the other ma.
Oh yeah, she's an idiot.
Yeah, she was shit as well. But they're throwaway. I'm not even sure if you watch it, you'd even recognize any of the actors from much. But it's effects wise good. Comedy wise, good, the whole lot. But I suppose from your point of view, from cinematography, how difficult is it for when you're making a movie like this? I mean, because it's especially for that first big scene to have it in daylight. I think that's to have the big things like that. What was your feeling on that?
Well, that's why I was so impressed by that opening sequence, because it's such a convoluted and clever kind of idea for that whole sequence alone. And because it's Skyview revolving restaurant, you can't shy away from the visual effects needed in that sequence. But there's a lot of we don't give it away too much, but a lot of fire effects, a lot of crushing stone and stuff, a lot of blending of visual effects and practical stuff and real sets. And I was
that chick on fire was fantastic.
It was amazing.
So
It's just
fantastic.
amazing.
Yeah.
I was just going, this is fucking money well spent. Like, and adding into like that sequence alone is just filmed really, really well. Like, there are some shots around it when they're kind of, when they're up outside in the tower looking down, you're kind of going, okay, that's
that's what I wasn't too sold on.
Great visual effects, but they're just kind of a few throwaway scenes. But the main stuff that's happening in and around the kind of crumbling restaurant is absolutely fantastic, and the movie itself it's filmed pretty well. You know what I mean? Like the normal narrative kind of scenes are, it's like daytime TV fucking shots and coverage, and that's fucking fine. But when it gets into those death scenes, it's so inventive. But like the normal, I don't think I've seen so many like crane shots when people are just walking.
Yeah.
Kind of that's something like from the fucking 90s, just like she's walking there, get a crane from behind the house, crane down low, get an overview crane shot passing by her and stuff, and it's just like, okay, man, we get it. You hired a crane for the day, you're using it, like, it's brilliant. But the death scenes themselves it's just wonderful. It's just inventive, different changing lenses, and it just takes you out of your fucking comfort zone so quickly. Like, even from the trailer, it's that, like, when you just get a close-up, whatever it is, like a shard of glass or whatever, and it's just an extreme close-up on a wide lens, and it just makes you fucking unnerved. It's just wonderful. And that, like, in that sense, all those scenes, director and cinematographer, they're on point. Like, they know exactly what they're doing, and add that to the sound design, and it's just, I just loved all of them. Because normally with something like this, it's kind of like, oh, that was a really inventive death scene or whatever, and as you were saying with previous movies, it's like, it could be a good idea, but it's just not executed very well.
Yeah.
But in this, you're kind of going, it's just, they really, really put their heart and fucking blood, sweat and tears into these death scenes, really. And some are simplistic in terms of visuals, just keeping camera there and watch somebody get fucking sliced in half. But I just thought it was
I think
really good. Like,
I think this will really stand to them compared to the other movies that were
absolutely,
that were hard work. These were enjoyable. They were funny. The characters, were funny. The death scenes, some of the interactions between them. Okay, the performances and the actors may not have been spot on, but they were enjoyable enough to watch. Whereas with some of these movies, I hated every character. I was looking forward to when they died. Whereas
this
was just
getting to the next death scene.
Whereas this was kind of funny. I believed a lot of relationships between them and the whole past that they all had of the mother who was driven mad by worrying that keeping themselves alive and fucking basically making your house a padded cell. Like I enjoyed it. Like I'm surprised. I'm never going to give a movie like this 5 stars or even 4 stars, but for what it is, it was enjoyable. And I think they've opened up with this whole Bloodlines thing. There's so many now extra stories that they can tell to tie into this, rather than trying to come up with another story. Because if you've watched the other ones, you'll see they tie them all back into each other. Like I think it's the 4th or 5th one. They tie it back to the first one. Like the people from that get on the same plane that thing was on. You know what I mean? Like they tried to tie them together, and it's shit. But I mean, this I like the idea now. They've opened up a whole new thing of characters that we can say that all came from this revolving thing accident. The Bloodlines. It's been since the 1960s, so there's so much you could do. We could have it set, the whole movie set in a previous time space of this family that only made it as far as the 80s, and they all got fucking killed. There's so much scope now that they've opened up with this. And I would definitely watch, a new set of these movies.
Give me another 5 of these.
Yeah, absolutely. Like whereas I wouldn't. Whereas if it was going to go the same route as another one of the 4th or 5th one, I wouldn't even fucking touch it. Man, I'll watch fucking anything.
I was just so surprised by this. It really was genuinely driving home, going, I can't believe how much fun I had in this. But 3.5 stars from us. Well worth a watch. Thanks, as always, for liking, sharing, subscribing, listening, all of the above. And we will catch you next week with another movie. Take it easy.
Take it easy.